The poll reported yesterday, done by Dart Maru Blue and commissioned by the National Post, said that more than two-thirds of Canadians think the country is heading in the wrong direction. That shouldn't surprise anyone, really. What is more surprising, I suppose, is that it wasn't unanimous, or that any Canadian doesn't think that Canada is heading in the wrong direction. What is stunning, too, is the incompetence being displayed by the government in Ottawa. The stock market's just lost $5 trillion in just a few short days globally on fears that the coronavirus is not under control and could trigger a global pandemic. A frightening thought. The coronavirus has spread into South Korea from China and into Italy. Countries are banning flights from China and those countries as well. Rail blockades are crippling the Canadian economy, and as the poll showed, the dissatisfaction is highest in Alberta. And why not? The government of Justin Trudeau acts as though Alberta just simply doesn't matter. The country is divided, and it's not getting any less divided as Western resentment towards Ottawa and Quebec is reaching an unprecedented level not seen in my lifetime. And the Prime Minister seems oblivious to it all. Yesterday he was tweeting about the plight of the North Atlantic right whales and how he was dispatching a couple of cabinet ministers to put in place new measures to do, well, we're not sure exactly what. The rail blockades are being done in some way as support for the Wet'suwet'en and hereditary chiefs, who are getting an inordinate amount of attention, undeserved in my opinion. They speak for no one, they control nothing, and seemingly are controlled by the American enviro activist groups. Why should any politician give them a moment of attention? The downstream effects of the government's inaction on these blockades is more than a little troubling. Despite the Prime Minister attempting tough talk and saying the blockades must come down, they are still popping up randomly most everywhere and causing all manner of supply issues as well as shipping backlog in the ports. And the RCMP and the OPP seem handcuffed in their response. The video of anarchists setting fires beside the rail line and throwing things at passing trains while OPP officers observe them from an overpass nearby is very unsettling. Actually, it's disgusting. Who is holding them back from doing their job, and why? Add to that the cancellation of the Teck Resources Frontier Mine project in northern Alberta, and with that the $20 billion investment into an Alberta economy that desperately needs it. Teck laid the blame squarely at the feet of the Trudeau government and the regulations and hoops they had to jump through until finally they just said they'd had enough. They'd spent enough time, energy, money, and resources and were just still being stymied by the government, and they'd had enough. And Trudeau is tweeting about right whales. He came to power in 2015, promising to transform the country's relationship with its Indigenous communities. It certainly does not appear that anything has transformed in the last 5 years except the Canadian economy, and not for the better. To compound the problems, the Prime Minister has appointed the Health Minister, Patty Hajdu, to lead Canada's response to the coronavirus, the global outbreak before it becomes a pandemic. She's a former graphic designer. Hajdu has worked in harm reduction and with the homeless in various roles. Her boss is a former drama teacher and a substitute teacher. What could possibly go wrong? There hasn't been a more unqualified cabinet in my lifetime, nor for that matter a more unqualified Prime Minister. There are a great many urgent and serious problems facing the country right now, and we are being led by people who are wholly and totally unqualified for the positions they hold. And the Prime Minister is tweeting about right whales. For True North, I'm Leonite.